So are you creating a traditional TV commercial, or do you need a 15-second YouTube video because that's going to perform better? And so it really just informs kind of how we're getting our clients' brand in front of people.
Hi, I'm Josh Owen. As the owner of a video marketing company in New Orleans, I've been on the quest to learn everything I can about marketing. Everyone has a different style, different strategy, and a different experience. Is there a wrong way to do it? A right way to do it? Let's find out together as we make marketing make sense. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Make Marketing Make Sense. I'm your host, Josh from Comfystone, and today I'm joined by Katherine Simon of Zehnder. And today we're going to talk about data and what it means in marketing. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we talked, you said you know a little thing or two about data, that you guys use data a lot. So, what does it mean to involve data in your marketing?
We use data from, I would say, more of a research perspective at first. So we have what we call a revelation process, and we start with any client that we're talking to doing an audit of everything that they can give us. We really want to approach our work from a data-driven perspective. We want to make sure that we know who we're talking to, we know where we should be talking to them, we know why, and we know what the client has done in the past that's then going to inform what we should do in the future.
That's awesome. I mean, I definitely love data, but I know some people might be a little wary of it. It's almost like maybe a dirty word, data is.
Yeah.
Is that the case that from what you've done and pitched with?
It's gotten a little bit of a bad rap lately.
Yeah.
I think that it can be a scary word for people. So what we try to do is position data as more of something that can help you rather than can hurt you. We're also always wanting to make sure that we educate our clients as to what they should be doing ethically and from a regulation standpoint to make sure that they are correctly collecting the data that they are allowed to collect and that then we need them to collect. So it's really an education for us. And when we talk about data too, we're not just looking at, who's coming to your website and what that person looks like, who they are, what they search on the internet, all of that kind of stuff. We're also looking at research into who these people are in a general sense. So if you generally are talking to a millennial audience about a tourism destination, what do they care about? And what are they consuming on a day-to-day basis? How do you insert the brand into their daily lives? So we consider that data, but we're not saying, we're following you down the street kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I mean, and I think, that it all makes sense and it sounds good. And I think, if you have the time to explain it to people, they can start to hopefully get it. But one of the things that I've always thought about is it's kind of hard. People don't want to be educated. People, I'm looking for the service. I don't want to be as if I'm looking for you to be, a client of yours, it's I don't necessarily I don't know if you felt this way, but some people they don't want to be all right, well, let me teach you all about data.
Right.
And so what is your strategy to kind of convince people, this is a worthwhile endeavor?
It comes down to, do you care about what the dollar you are spending is doing? Are you concerned? Because marketing has gotten a bad rap throughout history. I think people are quick to, or have been quick to cut marketing if there are budget cuts and things like that. And so what we try to do is make sure that our clients understand that your dollar that you are spending, we are spending like our dollar. That became a little bit more prominent in the last year or so because Zehnder has just become an ESOP. So we are now, yes.
Oh, it's not like it's not like a fable. It's real.
Right. So we are now employee owned. So every employee of Zehnder has a stake in the company. And so we are now, your success client is our success. And so we want to make sure that our clients are understanding that data is going to tell us, even if you don't want to deal with the data, let us deal with the data. Give us the tools that we need, the budget that we need to be able to dive into what we need to dive into to make your marketing dollar go farther. Because I think that marketing is a way, obviously, for companies to make more money. So if we can, on our end, prove that to them, then that is selling the service without them having to do it themselves. But we do offer trainings. If you want to do it yourself, if you want to understand GA4, all of that, we will, train our clients to do that. But we handle a lot of the research and the analytics and all of that in-house. We also develop dashboards, which are really easy ways for our clients to see if their campaigns are successful or not. So they don't need to know how to go into Google Analytics. They don't need to know how to go into your social media, the back end of Meta to see how things are performing. We'll create dashboards that they can look at quickly and understand how things are doing. And they can also, if it's a marketing director, they can provide it to the C-suite, and that person doesn't need to have a ton of knowledge about marketing or data. They can read a quick bullet chart that says, this was your goal and this is what we achieved, so we exceeded the goal.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, hey, who wouldn't love for someone to just come in and do it for them? That's great.
Exactly.
Especially if you're saying, guaranteeing, like, hey, this is your dollar's my dollar. It's like, that's a pretty good assurance. You know. I mean, what has there been a time where you've had all this come together and it fired on all cylinders and it just worked to a T?
Yeah. One example that I personally like to use, it's a passion project of mine. I'm a runner. We had Rocknroll running series.
I'm a runner too. I love running. So yeah, like this is music to my ears.
Yeah. So Rocknroll running series, which is marathons, half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks. We did a lot of their media buying, and so they have Global Running Day, which is in June every year. It is their biggest sale day of the year. So they dock prices on all of their races, all of their distances, and that one day, 24 hours, they run a kind of a flash sale. They had pretty lofty goals when we were doing it one year, and we also had a media plan laid out. So Google, Facebook, Instagram, all of the usual suspects.
Right.
And what we did was we have this philosophy of, and most agencies that you talk to do, we don't set it and forget it. We're always in there monitoring our digital campaigns, making sure that they're performing, but we took it to the next level. We sat in what we call our Listen Hub, which is a glass-walled room in our New Orleans office that has multiple screens on the wall, and we pulled up everything. We pulled up the website, we pulled up the analytics, we pulled up the dashboard that was showing how all of our individual media campaigns were performing, and we pulled up communications with the client who were not physically with us in New Orleans. And we were just shifting and pulling levers all day. So if Google wasn't working in this market, but Facebook was working better in that market, let's shift budget over to Facebook. If Google was working with this keyword and not this one, let's shift the budget there. So all day, because we only had 24 hours, we're updating and adjusting, and it led to, they had, like I said, a pretty lofty goal of about a 28% increase year over year, and we exceeded that. So it was their biggest sale day ever because we were able to sit in a room, and they trusted us, but also were in communication with us. We're saying, this is what we're changing, this is what we're doing. Do you guys have another asset for this? And it was really awesome to not only camaraderie of coworkers to kind of sit in a room together and really just push through, but then to see the success for the client was great.
That's wild. I'm getting these, like, you guys are like mission control,
Absolutely.
like sending a rocket to the moon, like, and I guess you went to the moon because you broke the record, So it's
that's
like,
what it felt like.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, wow. I think that's always really inspiring to hear, like, a story like that where you're just like, wow, like, like, what did you feel in that moment when that happened? Like, I always think about it, like, when you do get, when it's one thing where you like preach something, but it's another thing when what you preach like comes to fruition. Like, what were you feeling when you, in that moment, when it did just like break the bank?
It was a really awesome feeling, and it was great because we got to watch it happen. So it was incremental, and we were watching it moment to moment, and it was exactly what we had pitched to do. Working. And there's no feeling like that. Yeah.
Were you like, were champagne bottles being popped? And like,
I don't know if we popped champagne that day, but we should have.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, next time, I'm giving the keys to happiness, and I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at this board right now because I can't see it. Oh yeah, there we go. But anyway, so now I'm gonna transition out of this bit. So, but yeah, so so you're firing on all cylinders. One of the things that I'm curious about is when you're not firing on all cylinders, what's the next step? So a lot of people that don't have things together, like small businesses and stuff like that, they're not firing on all cylinders yet. And so a lot of them want to know, if you were to tell them, hey, what are some good places to start? What are some places for data that they can start looking at? What would you say as far as, starting with Google, Google Analytics is a big one, website, stuff like that. What are some of the big things you would look at, and, what would you be looking at and trying to figure out from there?
Yeah, and small businesses don't have time, too. They have so many other things that they're doing. I would go into Google Analytics and first look at your traffic patterns. Look at your seasonality and look at that year over year. So are you seeing the same seasonality, the same spikes, same peaks and valleys year over year? And that's going to tell you, this is when people are more interested in my product, and that's the low-hanging fruit that I can go after. That's when I can start marketing a little bit more. Or that's how I can look at, I ran this email campaign last year during this time. Did I see an increase? I'd also look at how you're getting people to your website. So that's source and medium. So are people coming from social media? Are they coming from Google, where are people now finding your website? And then I'd also look at the engagement. So how are they engaging with your site? That's now in GA4 called engagement rate instead of bounce rate. But we're also looking at pages per session. We're looking at time on site. But compare that, not only to say like, oh, they looked at 5 pages, that's amazing. But look at what your site contains. What is your site content? What do you want people to do? Because you can also track conversions. So if I have a site that people are coming to, they're reading one paragraph, and then I'm hoping that they're converting, they're doing something, I don't need 3 pages per session. So compare what your goals of your site are and what the content of your site is versus how people are engaging with it, and see if that matches up. And that'll tell you if you need to make any changes.
Yeah, I guess too, when you look at that cycle, and this is my thought on it, because I like what you're saying too, and like you mentioned, like time, and maybe for entrepreneurs, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but what would be the best time for them to kind of take these looks? Because for me, like we're coming up on well, I don't know when this is coming out, but like we're coming up on Christmas, or Christmas has just happened, and we're there's this big gap in time, right? And so like, is that like, when is the best time for you to take a deep dive on your analytics?
It depends on when you're doing your planning cycles. So if you're starting to look at 2024, for example, you should be looking at what happened in 2023. I would recommend, if you're really strapped for time, looking at it at least on a quarterly basis. So setting up a time each quarter to look at what the past quarter did, any campaigns or special things that you did, how did those perform? What did that look like in your Google Analytics? What did that look like last year at the same time? Are you exceeding what you had done last year? So quarterly, definitely, if you're strapped for time, is kind of the minimum that I would say. And then it's going to be based on what your product life cycle is.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess, and I kind of like jumped a little bit ahead here, but I wanted to take it back a little one step and talk about social media. I know a lot of people see a lot on social media. I know this is like the new big topic, and there's so much things to look at on social media, but like, what would you suggest are the things to hone in on for social media, and what would you extrapolate from those things?
I would say it's specifically Meta. I would look at geography and demographics of your audience. It's going to be a little bit more accurate than what you're seeing in GA4, just because of IP addresses and things like that. So you'll get a better view of who cares about your content. The way that people consume social media is so different nowadays, though. So the followers of your account might not be a realistic view of the people who are consuming your most popular content because of the algorithms. Unfortunately, it's a pay-to-play world in social media. So looking specifically at your paid campaigns and who's consuming those is really great. I'd also look at your most popular content. So what type of content are people liking? And then I would look at your competitors. What are your competitors posting? What is getting the most engagement from your competitors? And then you can also see in Meta what day of week and time of day your audience is most engaged with your content. So that'll change and it'll fluctuate, but keeping an eye on that will help you to make sure that you're posting when your audience is going to view it. And some of that may surprise you. Like, we have some clients that get surprised when we say, we're going to post this at 6 p.m. They're like, 6 p.m., that seems strange time to post, but it's when people are home from work, they're scrolling instead of looking at their emails, they haven't quite made dinner yet. So it makes sense for some of our clients that would be the time of day. So yeah, time of day, day of week, geographic, demographic information, and then content.
Yeah, no, it makes, like, one of the things that you mentioned is something that I think we all forget, which is looking at your competitors. And it's like, that's just an easy way, like you're saying, to just be able to look out, see something and say, wow, like, I don't have to even come up with ideas. They came up with the idea for me. They market tested it for me, and that's the thing that worked for them. Let's just do it again. And this could be in another city. This could be in another, in a place that, doesn't, you don't have any actual like overlap with, so that you can completely come with a fresh idea to the people in your community. So I think that's a, fantastic idea. Look at that, Just like, it's like, what you're talking about over here,
Yeah, well, that's something that you can't see in a website. You can't look at a competitor's website and see what's working. You can't look at a competitor's ad campaign and see what's working. But social media, you can see the numbers. So that's an interesting nuance to social media. That's like, look at those competitors, or look at somebody in a different field who's doing something that you're excited about. And what is getting the engagement there, and mirror, whether that's the format of it or the cadence of it or the, the actual content itself.
Right.
Find inspiration where you can. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a good first step. So awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, I think that's a good place for us to wrap it all up in that sense. And I mean, we're gonna hop into like a little data,
goodness.
a little extra data here,
Okay.
and talk about something a little extra. It's not, I thought I thought it was a little something spicy. I know we kind of like as a society always think about TV versus streaming, but I do think it plays in marketing. So I
Absolutely.
think that's definitely a big question. But obviously, I'm going to read you some data points. These are updated like TV, TV. I guess what would you call it? TV versus what am I talking about? TV.
Streaming platforms.
Where am I? Streaming platforms. So these are the updated like TV and streaming platform analytics.
Okay.
So right now they're saying that the annual growth rate of streaming, which doesn't seem that impressive, despite it all, is only at 8% right now.
Interesting.
It's only at 8%. And that goes into 2027 is what they're saying. So the other thing is 81% of 65-year-olds and up are TV watchers.
Yep.
And which we all know. And then 34% of 18 to 29-year-olds are TV watchers. So, I mean, that's honestly higher than I was thinking it was.
Yeah, it is.
So, maybe there's some room there. But then, obviously, U.S. adults over 77% of U.S. adults aged 18 to 34 prefer streaming platforms over cable. So, obviously, makes sense. And then 86% of U.S. households with a $150 income. $150,000 income are cable TV subscribers. So I guess still there's that echelon. It's like if you have the cash flow for it, you're still going to use it. You're still going to use you're still going to buy cable, I guess, which I thought was interesting. And then 100% of channels will be unbundled by 2022 is what they're saying. So I don't know exactly what unbundled, how far that's going to go, but like they're really trying to like. I think we're getting into an age where it's like a la carte. It's a la carted up.
Yeah.
So it's like, which, I think is an interesting data point because if everything's so a la carte, how it's like, that's probably going to be better or worse for marketing,
It depends. Yeah. And I think that those data points are really interesting, especially from a media buying perspective. And like I said, research, again, going back to data, tells us where our clients are and what they're consuming. Right. And that's the first thing that pops into my mind in that data is, okay, well, is my audience a 65 plus audience? Then I'm going to buy zoned cable. Is my audience a higher household income audience? Cool, then I'm probably going to do a mix of zoned cable and streaming services. Zehnder offers our own programmatic. We have programmatic in-house.
Programmatic?
Programmatic.
What is that word? What the heck does that mean?
So historically, you've had to kind of go to other companies or site direct is what we call it, to specific websites and buy the media there.
Yeah.
What programmatic allows us to do is we have access to inventory across the internet, depending on what you want to do. So we can do, you can do digital banner ads, you can do more immersive experiences, you can do connected TV and video streaming and things like that. But what it allows Zehnder specifically to do with our own in-house programmatic software is we can offer things like Hulu and Pandora, so streaming audio services to clients without having to hit those minimums that they would have to hit if they went to Hulu or Pandora themselves. And so we're able to really diversify our clients' media mix because we have access to all of that. But yeah, I would say that the streaming versus TV really to me informs your media buying, so where you're placing your ads, and then also your content development. So are you creating a traditional TV commercial or do you need a 15-second YouTube video because that's going to perform better? And so it really just informs kind of how we're getting our clients' brand in front of people.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's like, do you feel like, I guess this is something that I just don't even know, but like, do the streaming platforms give you data? Like, they're offering you, so they offer you everything you need to know to make an informed decision, like like the demographics and stuff, you're hitting the right people. Right. Because there's just, I can't imagine like, I'm curious to know eventually like what the difference in age and demographic are for each streaming service and like what each channel, like so.
Well, the interesting thing that you can do in digital media as a whole and with these streaming services is we go to them. We go into our programmatic software and we say, we are targeting 25 to 54-year-olds with a household income of 150,000 plus in these specific markets, and that's where our ad goes. Our ad goes to those people.
Wow.
So in zoned cable, yes, you can look at your zip codes and see what your higher household income zip codes are, or see where your audience is living within a certain city, and you can place TV that way. But what streaming services and digital, audio and video provide is the opportunity to really hone in on that audience, which is really great from a data perspective because you can see that you're hitting your actual target audience and then also what they're doing from there.
Wow, that's wild. Well, I mean, there's just so much to it. I feel like if I just sit here and talk to you, we could talk about it all day.
We could.
Because I'm so curious about it. But at the end of the day, we got to cut it. Where we got to cut it. But I think this is a great place to stop. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Katherine, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I would love to let the world know where they can find you and Zehnder and everything on the interwebs, social media, all that good stuff.
Interwebs. Our website is z-comm.com, and then Zehnder Communications is on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're everywhere.
Zehnder, that's spelled
Z-E-H.
N-D-E-R.
N-D-E-R.
That N-D-E-R. That's exactly what I was going to say. So, not N-D-R. There's an NDA, but there's, National Defense Rifles. I don't know.
Not us.
Not us. All right. Not Zehnder, but they're just into how you guys term yourselves as marketing company, PR firm?
We are a marketing agency. We are a full-service marketing agency. So we offer everything from creative to social media to PR to media buying, all in-house. We have our own in-house, again, like I said, programmatic software. We have in-house production. We have, we can do it all.
Lovely.
Do it all.
Lovely. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Katherine, for joining us. And we will see you all on the next one. Thanks for joining us. This has been Marketing. Thank you all for joining us. This has been Make Marketing Make Sense. We'll see you on the next one. This has been Make Marketing Make Sense, brought to you by Comfystone. If you need video content for social media, your website, or email marketing, hit up Comfystone at comfystone.com and follow Comfystone on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.